Now, in industrial relations, and clearly there's a bit of disquiet within the coalition about how they ought to go forward on this. We'll hear now from Tony Abbott and Joe Hockey and see what you make of this.
Well, we're not going to fall into the trap of the Labor Party defining everything as work choices.
Look, we absolutely stand by the policy that we took to the election, and we have no intention, not the slightest intention, not the merest skerrick of a hint of a plan to do anything that might resemble the policy of the last days of the Howard government.
So he's saying nothing at all, though Joe Hockey's sort of implying, isn't he, that we'll do whatever we can, provided it doesn't look and smell and sound like work choices.
Well, I think Tony Abbott on this seems to be still stuck in election mode. I mean, once the election's over and you're not there, you don't have to be saying what we would do if we won in the current term. But clearly the coalition has got to find some areas of differentiation with the government, and I think we've sort of in one of those interesting transition periods where people are starting to say, OK, we've actually got to distance ourselves a bit from Labor on policy so that we've got somewhere, some attack room, if you like. And I think, the interesting question is whether this is Joe Hockey doing this for leadership reasons or whether it's just the coalition going back to traditional issues which are unfair dismissals for small business, and quite reasonably wanting to say, well, we're now looking at how the Labor legislation is working and it isn't working right, and we want to be able to give ourselves some ground to attack.
And whether he's doing it for leadership or not, he certainly seems to be saying to Tony Abbott, straighten your back a bit on this.
My sense is that he's saying that let's hear from the business community. If they're really rattling the bars and saying that what Labor has put a small business of 20 employees, they talked about 100 employees in their election, in the pre-election talk. Let's see if the business community...
But it is small business, you see, and they don't seem
right.
to have the same voice, and that's why you don't hear from them as often as you might.
And it's not a vote switcher in small business. Small business aren't going to vote Labor necessarily because of if Labor do what the coalition are asking. The coalition really need definition on this issue because it was the single area where Tony Abbott looked the weakest in the campaign. That first week where he was signing pledges to never ever touch Labor's Fair Work system in his first term as Prime Minister was a pretty ordinary stunt.
What I'm saying, George, is that you really do need some sort of show from the business community that they want change and they want the opposition to spearhead it.